Welcome to the Motherhood Alliance podcast, the podcast dedicated to empowering moms and families on their health and wellness journey. I'm Brittany Suttner.
And I'm Andrea Rinkus. Together, we're here to explore holistic approaches that go beyond conventional medicine.
Each week, we dive into topics that matter most to you. Everything from nutrition and mental health to alternative therapies and natural living.
And whether you're a new mom navigating the early stages of parenthood or a seasoned pro looking for new ways to support your family's well-being, you're in the right place.
Even better, all of our guests are local small business owners who you can actually talk to and work with. You can learn more about today's guest and connect with hundreds of other health and wellness professionals through our informative and easy-to-use directory at motherhoodalliance.com.
Before we get started, keep in mind that this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not a substitute for personal healthcare advice. Please consult your healthcare provider before making any changes based on the podcast content.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. Are you ready to help your family thrive? Let's get started. Hi, we are Britt and Drea from motherhoodalliance.com, and in this 4-episode series, we're excited to introduce you to Jennifer Philibeck and Mandy Rinne, the energetic and incredibly fun founders of Empowered Minds Kids Studio based out of Appleton. Empowered Minds Kids Studio was started in 2024 after Jen and Mandy, who had been teachers for over 35 years combined, started to recognize that kids needed more than what the classroom alone could provide. They witnessed firsthand that kids needed guidance in building resilience, confidence, and other essential life skills to truly thrive, and that realization led them to take a leap of faith, stepping outside the traditional classroom and into the world of kids' life coaching. Now, as certified kids' life coaches, they offer personalized, play-based coaching to children ages 4 to 13 with the mission to help kids navigate life's challenges with confidence, developing resilience, positive self-esteem, and a strong foundation for lifelong success. Jen and Mandy are also moms who know firsthand that parenting is really hard, and that's why they believe in walking alongside families, offering compassionate support, and just figuring it all out together. As a listener, you're going to gain so many helpful parenting nuggets, or Tic Tacs, as you hear in one of our episodes, from these two ladies. So grab a notepad and pen, and let's jump into today's conversation. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. We are super excited to welcome Jen and Mandy here today. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
We are going to be covering some hot topics through our 4 episodes
We are
together.
so excited about having you guys here. Yeah, this is going to be so great.
There's a lot of energy in the room right now. But of course, we always start out by asking a fun fact from our guests. And so with the two of you here and you guys are running a business together, you guys have kind of a combo fun fact. So you like to go coffee clubbing on Fridays. What is this all about?
It's how we celebrate all of our wins throughout the week, big and small, we say. We celebrate them all. So we pick local coffee shops, and then we head in and get our coffee, and oftentimes we wind up dancing because Jen is a big coffee club and dancer.
Well, we were thinking about what are we going to call these weekly coffee
We're
visits?
doing it. We might as well have a theme.
Have a theme, right? And I said, gosh, it's like a coffee clutch. The old ladies would go on coffee clutches. And I said, oh no, coffee clubbing, because we love to dance. And so it just kind of evolved into this, we dance when we go get our coffee because why not?
Okay, I'm trying to visualize this because coffee shops are sometimes, some softer music in the background, and then in come these chicks, and
not when we're there.
Are you turning up some music on your phones and actually bumping up to the, walking up, dancing, getting your coffee? Are you yo DJ, turn up the music? How is this looking in the coffee shop?
Wish there was a DJ. Wish there was. Any coffee shops out there with the DJ to let us know. No, sometimes there's music. Sometimes we just dance on our own.
Well, and if anybody wants to see this coffee club and thing, they got to go on your social media and check it out, right?
We do make reels afterward to be able to showcase the fun. So that's kind of where it all started.
That's awesome. And since you work with kids, that's very appropriate that you are having fun in your own lives. I think all adults should be doing something like this. You're starting something fresh and new.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's jump into hearing about your story first before we get into today's full topic. So you guys were teachers. Now you're business owners. You met while you were teaching. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then how did you decide to start your own business?
So Jen and I met at North Greenville and in the Hortonville area school district. And she was actually my daughter's 3rd grade teacher. And we discovered that we both had a big passion for creating relationships and teaching kids social emotional skills. And then Jen.
Yeah. Fast forward 7 years. right?
Oh, wow.
I left the classroom. It was COVID. I was pregnant, had another like newborn at home. And in that time discovered that kids life coaching was this thing that was out there in other parts of the country. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I love the most about teaching, but it's just that. Like I would just get to be able to do that. And so I enrolled in a certification program. And through the program, I kept texting Mandy and calling her like, girl, you gotta hear this. You wouldn't believe that this is a thing. And this is so you. This is so you. And, I kept nudging and nudging and nudging. And
Jen knew what she was doing. Yeah. She knows what she was doing.
Mm-hmm. I knew she would fall in love with it. And right, we're here now. So clearly it worked.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, and thank you guys for taking a leap of faith, because it's, as entrepreneurs ourselves, we know that it can be really hard and really scary to leave something that's comfortable, right, Mandy? Like you just said, and try something new and try something different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So today we're going to be talking about resilience and raising resilient kids. So let's start out with kind of a basic question. What does it mean to raise a resilient child, and why do you think that's so important today?
Well, I mean, I think to raise a resilient child means that we know that they're going to face challenges in life, right? Like you can't avoid that. And through coaching, we tell families and kids, like, if you thought coaching was to like take all your problems away, like, psych, just kidding. Like, that's not what it is. Really, though, being resilient means that when life throws those challenges your way, you have the skills, the strategies, the tools, that like gumption inside of you to be able to push through, to be able to figure out, to problem solve, to not get wrapped up in your, like, we call it the hamster wheel, right? In your mind of all the would-be, could-be things that could go wrong, but like have a plan for how you're going to get through that challenge and be able to come out better on the other side.
So what were you seeing in your classrooms that made you kind of go, kids need more resilience these days? Like, what were some of the red flags? Or I know you've also talked about how they'll grow out of it as a common mindset in today's world. Is that kind of what you were seeing? Tell us about what you were witnessing.
I mean, I think a lot of parents do think that kids will grow out of it. And sometimes, right, there are phases that absolutely kids will go through. But if you're seeing problems and they're persistent over and over, that probably is a sign that those kiddos are lagging some skills that we could do.
And when you're saying grow out of it, are you saying like having no emotional control when they face challenges? Is that what they're going to grow out of?
It could be. I think we also see that anxiety piece a lot too. And so kids need tools and strategies to be able to become resilient, and they need parents that can show them that, right? If we model the way as parents, what resilience looks like, and also to just show them that, yes, it's okay to feel how you feel and it's okay to struggle, but this is what we do when we are struggling.
Do you feel like kids used to be more resilient in past generations and we've almost lost this as a skill within families? Or do you feel like is this something, an area where our schools have kind of changed and kids are lacking it now? I mean, discipline in general between parenting and what schools can actually do to support kids and teach them discipline has really changed. So where do you feel like things have changed over the years?
There's a lot of changes that have happened societally, right? And culture has changed a lot. I think that kids are not as resilient as they once were, because if we think about it, a lot of times that problem solving and the being able to like figure out how to get through a challenge on their own is kind of taken away from them. A lot of times, and in our best intentions, parents tend to step in and solve problems for their kids, because we don't want them to have to go through that struggle like we went through, right? We think like we're helping them by like helping them problem solve, and I'm just going to like give them the solution.
Because we're impatient too, right?
Right.
Parents,
Oh yeah. Right. We're in a hurry. We have things to do. We have places to go. We have our agenda, our timeline. And so it's like, it'll be just faster if I just like do it for them, or if I'll just tell them how to do it. But then we're taking away that problem solving and that like creativity that they can figure out these things on their own. So there's that piece big time.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I totally agree with that. Even just with kids, my kids in my own home, But let's get into some tips and like practical applications so that the parents listening can like walk away from this conversation and have a couple things that they can try. So what are some ways that parents can teach resilience at home? Because what I'm hearing you say is that resilience can be taught. It's not always, something you have to learn the hard way from circumstances. So how do we do that?
I think helping kids first and foremost name their emotions. So talking about feelings, I think that in homes and at school too, that isn't something that's at the forefront, right? We don't want to be uncomfortable as parents or adults because we know that those feelings are uncomfortable, but helping kids to be able to, I say, name it to tame it, right? So I'm feeling angry. And then that next step obviously would be like, this is what I need. These are the tools that I need to regulate my body. So I think naming and validating emotions is important.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we should be applying this to the parents first. Like yeah, us adults, we need to have these skills. Like we need to be working on them in order to help our kids, right? And so I feel like anybody listening to this right now, apply it to yourself first as you teach your kids this stuff. Right?
Yes, there's a great book out there. It's called Permission to Feel by Mark Brackett.
Okay.
And it really talks about that need for that adult social emotional learning because we didn't grow up with this, right? These are things that we have learned, and how amazing would it be if we have those skills and that knowledge in place so that we could in turn teach our kids
and model it, right? It's like how we model things. So we say that to parents all the time, like, you have no idea the impact that just by saying like, you're in the car and you're frustrated because maybe you're like running late and you're like, oh, I'm feeling frustrated right now. Like I can feel like my heart is beating really fast and my like hands are getting tense and I can like feel that I'm breathing faster because I'm really like worried that we're going to be late. Like saying those things out loud and then be like, okay, but I'm going to take some breaths and I'm going to like breathe through this and I'm going to tell myself like, it's okay if we're late. We're just going to get there safely. We do a lot of that internally, but if we just vocalize that and said that out loud, we're modeling for our kids, oh, like, look at what mom's doing. And like, I can do that too. So it's like those little shifts that could be very powerful.
It's normalizing it, right? It's normalizing mental health, and it's okay to feel how we feel as adults, and it's okay to feel how you feel as kids. And then that next step of here are some strategies. I would also say that problem solving piece, which we talked a little bit about, don't do everything for your kids, right? Because the goal is to have them be independent. They're going to grow up. They're going to leave our house at some point, and they're going to need to be able to do these skills. Jen's laughing because we had hockey this weekend, and my son Gabe, he forgot his toothbrush because at 10, I think you can pack your own things.
Sure.
You should be able to do that. So we get to the hotel and he was like, Mom, I forgot my toothbrush. My husband was like, well, let's just go buy him one. Absolutely not. And I said, you're finger brushing.
Yeah.
Right. Natural consequence.
We've done that at a sleepover or something.
Yeah.
When and your kids.
But it's that like not swooping in to problem solve and like fix the problem, like going to get a toothbrush from like, but okay, well, this is the logical consequence. Now, I bet the next time he'll remember his toothbrush. But it's those little things.
I feel like this is also hard as parents to decipher between a moment when you should help out and it's like, okay, we're all human. We're all going to forget things and that's okay.
Right.
Versus, nope, you need to learn a lesson. Like, oh, you forgot your snack for school. Too bad. You're going to get fed at lunch. Like,
right.
It's fine. Like that one is pretty easy. The toothbrush one, I honestly feel like I would struggle with. I'd be like, you know what, dude, we all forget things once in a while.
I didn't lay into him or anything, but the thought in my mind was very much like, ooh, my dentist would be like, go get the toothbrush.
But we pick our battles.
Right.
I think it's a balance, right? And also like there's no right or wrong way to do it, but as long as you're reflecting and being mindful and aware, then that's already half the battle, right?
Yeah. And what you said earlier about parents modeling it and like us expressing our emotions, that makes me think about, I had a situation recently where I was just really frustrated with some things that had happened during my day, personally, work stuff, and it had nothing to do with my kids, but I was feeling stressed out. And when I picked them up from school, I was just snippy. I was short with them, and I could see it rubbing off on their emotions and how they were treating each other and how they were talking to me. And I just went, okay, you guys, come here. We need to take a time out. I'm feeling really frustrated about my day today, and I'm sorry I'm taking it out on you. I'm not, like just talking about how I was feeling and why I was not trying to be mean to them. They weren't being naughty kids, but just trying to process that out loud with them. Is that kind of an example of what you guys were talking about?
Absolutely.
And repairing with them too. Like I made a mistake, and it's okay to make that mistake. I am so sorry. Moving forward, this is what I'm going, to do my best to do for you.
Yeah. And you guys talk a lot about early intervention when it comes to, these type of life skills. What does that practically look like? Like what age are you kind of starting to integrate this? What's appropriate for those little guys?
Well, Jen and I originally thought maybe like that 7 to 13, age range. But as we've grown and as we've learned and gotten some feedback from the community, we just recently developed a program for the littles, 4 to 6. So I definitely would say starting just with naming the emotion. What does it look like on your body and somebody else's body, so that they can get used to the emotions that are beyond happy, mad, sad, right? Digging a little bit deeper. What can we notice? How do we know the difference?
And then the next step is like, how can you communicate that? And once you know how you're feeling and you can name it, then how do you communicate that without, having a tantrum or melting down or, whatever it might be? How can you communicate that in a safe and a positive way so that we can teach them that that's like the next step, being able to ask for what you need?
So you're teaching resilience as some of your coaching programs now. Let's really quick just go over what kind of coaching programs do you guys have? Is it one-on-ones? Is it group? Is it like parent and child? What do these look like?
Girl, we got it all.
Okay, mic drop.
Yeah, we started with one-on-one coaching. And then we saw that, wow, it was so much more powerful when the families were also involved. So then we opened up family group coaching, which is like groups of families together, which was like mind-blowingly amazing because they're not only learning, hot tips from us, but they're learning from each other, and they're like normalizing what's happening in their home is happening in other families' homes. And that was beautiful. We do skill building camps as well. So like maybe like a weekend morning or like this summer we have like week long camps. So, I think we're kind of like doing a little bit of it all. And then even
we have a parent workshop that's coming up as well. So just helping to give parents the language to use with their kids.
Do you guys, like when somebody comes in for one-on-one coaching or even group coaching or whatever, do you find it where some parents are like, fix my kid, but they don't really look at themselves, or they don't realize that they're probably the problem or part of the problem? Like you can poke a little bit here because this is the truth. Like, how can we help our kids? We need to work on.
Yeah. I would say the majority of the time when families come in for coaching, whatever type of coaching it is, it's typically with the initial mindset of fix my child. My child has a problem, or, this is impacting our home. My child's problem is impacting our home or our family. And then the shift begins to happen and the kind of like the fog clears. And I think that realization of like, oh, this is much more than just my child's problem. Like this is something that like I may play a role in as well.
Well, and I can say too, like, I mean, my son goes to see Coach Jen as well. So I definitely plug in. I love this program, but, and I knew that it wouldn't just be him working on stuff. It would involve us too. So I know that like when you do talk to these families, you're like, hey, it's not just your child doing this. It's like a whole family thing. And by the way, every night my kids listen to your reformations on their speakers. And I do too. I have Coach Jen in my head when we go to sleep because that's what I hear in the other room.
Yeah. I mean, I think that when we can open ourselves up, we always say like, we don't ever want kids to think that they're coming to coaching because they have a quote unquote problem.
Yes,
that is not our approach at all. So we really like play on strengths and like what they're really, really great at. But we also say that like, this is a whole family approach. So like, yes, your son or your daughter might have a goal that they're working on that week, but how meaningful would it be if the whole family had a goal? And then at dinner, you're like, hey mom, how's your goal going? Hey dad, how's your goal? And you can check in with each other. And like, it becomes this family growth mindset of like, we're all trying to become better selves, not just, Johnny, because he has a quote unquote problem. Like that's not meaningful.
I want to circle back before we end this episode to talking about a little bit of older kids. So let's say that there's a parent listening to this and they're like, oh boy, I have a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, and I am kind of realizing I do a lot of things for them. And I want to start fostering more resilience, more independence. But if you're making oatmeal for your child every morning, they're going to fight you stopping that. So what tips do you have for families that kind of want to start fostering more independence, but their kids are resisting?
I think start small, right? Because they're used to you doing everything for them. I have a family that I'm coaching right now that they're working on some independence. This kiddo is 13, almost 14, and is kind of attached to mom all the time. So we set really teeny tiny goals of like walking ahead of her in the grocery store instead of next to her, so that eventually like he can go and run an errand for mom. So little teeny tiny steps that don't make it seem so big for the kiddo, I think is really important, breaking it down.
I feel like that is also where you guys come into play, is hearing that from you as like, hey, you can do this. Here's some suggestions, is going to be much different than mom being like, hey, why don't you walk ahead of me? What? No, it's going to be very different. So that's where
mom wouldn't have any idea necessarily that that's a great step, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like having a coach tell them like, this is a good idea. This is what you should be doing or what you can do. Here's an option. And then they can trust you.
Because this parenting thing is hard. Yeah. No one tells you how hard it's really going to be. And there is we always say there's no book. You don't know. So being able to have, like we say, we like to be the village. We love to be like the support and the cheerleaders, the whole team, right? Like we'll be your whole team that kind of helps support you in whatever the journey might look like.
I love that. One more question before we end this episode is, how can parents distinguish between like normal developmental behaviors? At a certain age, certain toddlers, they can't do certain things. But how do they distinguish between normal developmental behaviors and then like behaviors indicating that they should be really starting to challenge them in this area, or maybe even seeking help?
I would say like if they are noticing that maybe like there's extreme anxiety or fear that's impacting their daily life, right? Or that's maybe like impacting their social experiences with friends or with family, that seems a bit out of the normal range. Like we all kind of have like a gut instinct and kind of feeling of like what feels normal and what feels a little bit more, that it's impacting more of our daily life. I would say that would be a little bit of a red flag.
And if it's repetitive, I would say too, and it's okay, right? Like I know that we want to protect our kids and we want what's best for them, but it's okay to ask for help. I think it's so important to advocate for your own kiddo, right?
Yeah, and you talked momentarily about anxiety, and that really makes me think about how prevalent this is in today's age. Anxiety to a clinical level is one thing, but also just basic nervousness as kids are having to do new experiences that are unfamiliar. So I know my daughter, whenever she had to get up in front of a crowd, Christmas program in preschool, the whole week before, my belly hurts at bedtime, like anxiety coming out. And I knew what it was for most of the time. But what tips do you have for parents that are trying to help their kids through a moment when they're going to have to face some growth and they have to be brave about it, but it's really hard for that kiddo to understand? How do you explain that to a child and help them take that step?
I think first letting them know it's okay. It's okay to feel that way. I have felt that way too, going back to that modeling piece, and then giving them some tips, maybe teaching them a breathing strategy that you would practice, not just in that moment, but if it's one of those things like all week long, like you said, let's practice it while you're regulated so that when your kiddo is dysregulated, it becomes more natural.
Awesome. Thanks for that. This was a really great first episode. Resilience in our kids is truly, truly needed. Really quick, so the audience knows, how old are your kids right now?
I have a 4 and 5-year-old, almost 6. Mm-hmm.
I have a 10 and almost 14-year-old.
Okay. And so we're kind of right in your ranges as well. Drea has
8. No, he's 9 and 11.
Yep.
They keep changing ages.
Don't ask me how old I am because I can't keep that in my brain anymore.
Oh, yeah.
But the kids barely. And mine are 9 and my daughter's about to turn 7. So we're all kind of in that mix, and this is where conversations like this are so valuable, where we can just talk about tips and talk about where we're at in life and talk about how messy parenting is and just do this journey together. So we have some amazing episodes coming up as well. We're going to be talking about why play is the secret ingredient of childhood, how to raise capable kids with a growth mindset. How important is that? As well as parenting in the digital age, which I know is a challenge with these school-aged kiddos especially. I do want to mention that Jen and Mandy are offering a 10% discount on any of their coaching programs for our listeners. Thank you both so much for offering that. If someone would like to take advantage of that, how should they contact you? What is your website?
It is empoweredmindskidstudio.com.
Perfect. And you guys are very active on social media.
We are.
Yeah.
You can send us a Facebook message or any of those options.
Thanks, ladies, for this awesome conversation and these tips. I thought it was super, super helpful, and we can't wait for the next one. If you enjoyed this episode, would you consider leaving a rating or review or sharing it directly with a friend who could benefit from the information? We know that you're a busy mom or caregiver, and our goal is to make your life easier by bringing tips and tricks directly from experts into your earbuds. By sharing this episode with someone you love, you can play a critical role in helping to make their life easier as well. We appreciate your time and thank you for being a part of the Motherhood Alliance family.